Our first stop after touching down in London was Gordon's Wine Bar, where we shared a bottle of red wine and a delicious cheese platter. Gordon's is one of my favorite places in London because of the ambiance and drinking wine in a cave. We started our second day in London at the Ivy and had a full English breakfast and then walked over Tower Bridge to the Tower of London. After we crossed Tower Bridge, we walked over to the Tower of London, and it was really magical this time because I got to see the super bloom firsthand. And it celebrates the Platinum Jubilee, in which 20 million wildflower seeds were planted in the moat around the Tower of London to commemorate the Queen. We had dinner at Sushi Samba, maybe one of my favorite places in the world because of the incredible view of London and the delicious sushi and cocktails. We split a roll and some salmon sashimi and just enjoyed the night and the view. We left London from King's Cross and took a train to York, and we stayed in the cutest little flat. Whoop. After settling in and freshening up a little bit, we walked into the center of town and had dinner at a place called Tank and Paddle. And then we went on a really cool walking ghost tour around the city of York and listened to some of the city history and listened to ghost stories. And it started at a pub called King's Arms. Our first full day in York, we started at the Shambles and we went to the shop that must not be named, and I got a Pride cocktail which tasted like candy and came with candy floss, which was super cool. And then we relaxed a little bit at the flat and went back out to walk the Roman walls that go around the city. Walking the city walls of York was such an incredible experience, being the history nerd that I am. They were originally established in 71 AD during the Roman Empire to protect the Ninth Legion from the York locals. The walls are about 3.4 kilometers or just over 2 miles, so that's over 2,000 years of history within these city walls. And York is one of the very few cities to maintain the medieval walls, and it was just incredible to be immersed in the history and the culture. The Artful Dodger was our favorite pub to go to in York. Our last full day in York was really fun because we got to go to a Roman festival, which was super cool. We got delicious halloumi fries at Byron's. We went to a haunted pub called the Golden Fleece, and then we were really tired that night, so we ended up just hanging at the flat and ordering a takeout pizza. Oh my god.
Beware of the dog.
So this is an image of the York Minster, and right out front of the Minster is a statue of Constantine the Great, the ruler of the Roman Empire. Constantine actually found out that he became the emperor while in York and ruled the Roman Empire from York for a short period of time before moving the capital to Byzantium, later renamed Constantinople in honor of him, which is now Istanbul. Our first night in Scotland, we went immediately to the World's End pub and had delicious food and sticky toffee pudding. And then we walked the Princess Mile and also went to Tom Riddle's grave, where J.K. Rowling got her inspiration for some of the characters in Harry Potter. Our first full day in Edinburgh started at Cafe Nero with a ham and cheese toastie and a pistachio latte, and then we bought tickets to tour the castle a little later in the afternoon. We did a little bit of shopping at my favorite Molton Brown, as well as some souvenir shopping. We had a drink at Brewdog, and then another random pub before going to our tour of the castle. The view of Edinburgh from the castle is incredible. We got to look at the crown jewels as well as the room that King James VI was born in 1566 by Queen Mary of Scots. I wish we got to spend a little more time at the castle, but we were short on time. After walking around the city all day, I was craving some pasta, and we went to Bella Italia for a nice carbonara and bottle of red wine. Our last day in Edinburgh started with a hike of Arthur's Seat, which has an incredible view not only of the city but also of the coastline. That hike was probably one of my favorite parts of the entire trip. After the hike, we had a little bit of a break at the hotel before a delicious Indian dinner at Dishoom. First full day in Dublin. Got delicious breakfast, delicious coffee, and we're about to go to the Jameson distillery. After the Jameson tour, we had an incredible Italian lunch, and I had ricotta ravioli and some of the best calamari I've ever had. Then we had a drink at the famous Temple Bar and another drink at a pub called the Norseman. Our last full day of holiday in Dublin started at St. Patrick's Cathedral, which was incredible. Here's a chair of King William III, and then we went on a walking food tour of Dublin. It was incredible. I highly recommend. We had 5 different stops of primarily street food, and all of it was just so delicious. I was so full by the end of the tour. And there was really cool stories of the history of the Liberties in Dublin, and it was probably one of my favorite experiences of the trip. Then we went to the Teeling Whiskey Distillery and had another whiskey tasting, and it was a great, great day.